to some of our sponsors, MW Therapy. They really keyed in on, I think, a pain point for what most people have if you're a private practitioner or maybe just a standalone PT, or you've got, hundreds of colleagues working with you. And that's your EMR. If you love it or hate it, man, it can really be the bane of your existence. It's that thing you're interacting with over and over again. But a lot of times we've heard people don't change EMRs because they're like, well, yeah, I know I can find a cheaper one and I know I can find a better one, but like switching is a pain in the butt. So people just stay in a bad EMR relationship for so long because they're like, switching would be so much work. Well, what if it was more cost effective? What if it was better? And what if it was actually easy to switch your EMR? Now I've got your attention. That's mwtherapy.com. Take a demo. They've taken the pain out of actually switching your EMR to get to something better. They have something better. Go there. Check them out again online at mwtherapy.com. Plus our friends from CBD RX for You. Your CBD store. Get the ABCs of CBD at cbdrxforyou.com. Just did a great episode with Dr. Anthony Ferrari not long ago on the show. A lot of acronyms, THC and CBD, and those are the ones I followed. I'll be honest. That guy went right over my head real quick in that episode. He's got like a PhD in 17 different kinds of chemistry. But listen, if your patients are taking CBD over the counter, do you know how it's going to affect them and their course of treatment? 100%? Are you 100% clear? Are you, though? So find out the ABCs of CBD. Find out online at cbdrxforyou.com. More acronyms. We've got CBD and THC and PTDOS. We're talking about PT Day of Service. All right. We want to find out what people did and what you should be doing next year. So let's start the episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PT Pintcast. We say it's great physical therapy conversations on tap. Find us on the socials at PT Pintcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast all over Spotify, wherever good podcasts are heard, or even where some mediocre podcasts are heard. I bet you we're there too. Subscribe actually on iTunes if you were previously subscribed with the latest iOS update. Just a heads up. It might have unsubscribed you. So you might want to do that again. And again, subscriptions are free for podcasts. Website as well is ptpintcast.com. We're talking about PT Day of Service, and it's even grown. I think it was in the second year. It went from PT Day of Service to Global PT Day of Service. This global phenomenon of connecting physical therapists and the physical therapy profession with the world through acts of service. I love this. And I don't want to brag or anything, but I was standing there at the very first. I was there, the very first PT Day of Service event in 2015 with Josh and Navosa in Alexandria. I don't want to brag or anything, but it was part of history. So let's bring on some people to talk about PT Day of Service, the here and now. Let's bring in Alyssa and Anna. Ladies, how we doing?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing okay. First question we ask is usually the hardest. It's the most difficult question. What are we drinking? You guys drinking anything on this Monday night, or what are you doing?
We both have some apple pie kombucha from the little kombucha shop that's down the street from my house.
Right. I saw the mason jars and I was like, bold. I like it. Could be moonshine. I just had friends stop by. They gave me a housewarming gift, so I'm drinking Prosecco from a pint glass because you can't go wrong. So cheers to you ladies for coming on the show to talk about PT Day of Service tonight. And thank you. We want to thank our friends from Owens Recovery Science. They're a single source for PTs looking for certification in personalized blood flow restriction rehabilitation training. Find them online at owensrecoveryscience.com. They've got the information, the certification, and the equipment to apply it in clinical practice properly. All right, PT Day of Service. It's been going on for, is it 6 years? Was this the 6th year that PT Day of Service is going on? I think 2015 was when it kicked off, right?
This was our 7th year.
Math, not my strong suit. Not my strong
Not mine either. I wouldn't have gotten it if they hadn't just told me the other day.
I mentioned in the intro, I was there. I was a second year PT student. And I was in Arlington in the first event. So one of my professors was kind of nudging me and she was like, there's going to be this event. It was on a Saturday morning. So I was hungover, but I was like, you know what? You drag your ass out of bed and you go to the service event. You can sleep until noon later. And we did like a stair climb challenge. I remember thinking like, well, this is cool because simultaneously while this event was going on in Alexandria, we were picturing events, and Josh and Afosa, you know, the founders of PT Day Service, were saying there are people around the country at that time doing something similar, raising funds, cleaning, doing wheelchair cleanings and refurbishing, doing bike fits, doing some sort of active service around the country. Then it was the country. It's now expanded to global PT Day Service. And I don't know, it kind of made feel like being you know, hung over in Alexandria doing something connected to something bigger. And that felt really, really, I didn't know what it was then, but it definitely, I had the tingles is what I'm trying to get at it. I definitely had the tingles. So talk about Global PT Day of Service. Why are you guys involved and why should someone else get involved? Give us the macro picture.
So macro picture, this was my, oh gosh, this was my 5th year, I think, being involved. No, it was my 6th year because I started.
That's not your strong suit either. I get it. That's okay.
Yeah.
Counting is hard.
Math. I was a participant. Josh was actually my professor at George Washington University. So as a second year, I was a participant, and then I applied to join the core team because obviously Josh is like the most passionate human, and it definitely rubbed off. And ever since then,
did he just get engaged? Did I see on social media?
He did.
Put a ring on it. So hey, congratulations. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job.
I know, right? So yeah, that was my second year of PT school. Then I actually started working with the core team, and every year I've kind of jumped up a little bit, and now I'm the director. And it's been really incredible to see every year how much we've expanded into different countries, getting more and more creative with different projects all over the world. It's amazing to watch.
Look, like throw some math out and you just spitball for us. You said like, you know, growth and stuff like that, like countries and people, and just like give us like set that macro picture for us. How far and wide has Global PT Day Service really gone?
I believe we're at least 20,000 participants over the past 7 years in
85 different countries.
Yeah,
this year. Yeah, like last year we had like 80 something, 75. Now we're up to 85 different countries.
Yeah.
Wow. That is cool. All right, so let's get specific. I think if you haven't heard about Global PT Day of Service, the reason you're tuning in now is to find out what it is. So now that you've got what it is, right? It's a day of the year that connects the profession of physical therapists to the communities in any way. It can be PT related. It can be not PT related, just an active service, which I love the flexibility there. But then people sometimes get locked up with like, well, what should I do and how do I get involved? So we wanted to talk about specifics and take a look back at Global PT Day Service in 2021. Let's talk about some specific events. So we're going to have you two talk about it. We've got some more guests coming on the show. So let's start with you two ladies. What did you guys do in 2021 for this year? How did you serve?
So this year, our theme for the year was actually movement. So we've kind of shifted into a focus on movement-based projects so that PT Day of Service can be a movement to create service throughout the world. So the project that we focused on was using the STEADI algorithm that's provided by the CDC to plan a fall risk screening, which also included blood pressure screens at our local farmers market. So it was really
perfect. So you guys did that one together? That was both of you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So Alyssa was big behind the scenes of like planning it all. She's a good planner. She's a little organizer. I was more coming in towards the end with actually when the day happened, she was behind the scenes of making sure all the dots and T's were crossed and everything. And I was more the one in it doing the screens with the patient or with just the people in the farmer's market, which is really awesome to be a part of. Alyssa's the one who wrote me into PT Day of Service back when I met her in 2018.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about it before then. Throughout all PT school, I had no idea. So she was like, yeah, we do this thing every year and you should do it. And now I'm into it. I'm ready for it. It's exciting.
How did it feel while you were doing it? Well, your first event, putting something on and subsequent events, how did it feel while you were doing there? What sort of feelings came over you? Connectedness? Did you have that connected feeling like I did at my first PT Day of Service?
Definitely. It was a lot of connectedness, and it was a lot of, I don't know what this community needs from us, but we're just going to be here in this farmer's market and see what they need, because we as physical therapists have such a breadth of knowledge to share. So of course, our goal was to look at balance assessments and fall risks, but we also did blood pressure screening, just to make sure that people were knowing what their blood pressure was. We were asking general questions like, do you go to the doctor? And surprisingly, most of the people that we met with did not go to the doctor. Just because the community that we serviced in Oak Park, Sacramento, doesn't have a huge presence of a medical team in Oak Park. And some of these people don't have insurance and all those different types of kind of socioeconomic status limitations that they had. So it was really nice to be able to go into the community and meet them where they were and what they needed. And then give them resources moving forward. So just finding out that someone said, yeah, I know my blood pressure is probably high, but I don't know what to do about it. And then being able to have that conversation of, this resource, that resource, this is what we recommend. Let's follow up with you, because you are at a large risk of stroke while you're also at a large risk of falling. And that's something we should kind of catch now before it becomes a bigger issue for you.
It's a give. It leads with a give. Global PT Day of Service leads with a give, but it's also a show, right? So you've got a give, but it's a show versus a tell. Instead of standing there and saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, it's showing, because I'm going to give you this information. Here you are. Or did you know? So, future events, something similar you're going to do in the future, or what are you guys thinking about?
This is actually something I'm really excited about. The organizers of the farmers market used to put on entire health fairs. So they are actually looking to partner with us on a yearly basis, and even planning events multiple times throughout the year to continue making those connections with our community and expanding beyond just physical therapy to really capture a more holistic screening, education, connecting with the community, and making sure they know what their resources are, and creating resources that are missing once we identify what those gaps are. So I'm really excited.
All right. So if someone's listening and they're saying, okay, I could do that. There's a farmer's market in my town, or I can picture an event. Where do you tell people to go, and what do they do when they get there?
So for PT Day of Service specifically, there's a couple different ways that you can be a part of the program. So you can be an ambassador, which is what Alyssa is, in the sense of she decided to create her own event. So she created this fall screening. She didn't create the STEADI, that was pre-existing, but we utilized that. But she found a niche that she needed help. She talked to the people to make sure that she got all of like the liability things put together. And then she signed up to be she was an ambassador through PT Day of Service, which means that she is signing on to do a project, start a project, and finish it throughout. If you're not that ambitious like Alyssa, and you just want to do something a little less time consuming, you can be a participant. So you can sign up to just be a participant, which means you're going to kind of tack on to a pre-existing project or a pre-existing clinic that's already happened. Like one of my friends just kind of went to a soup kitchen for the day, and that was his way of contributing to the global volunteer through being a PT. It has nothing to do with PT. It was just something that he saw in his community that he could kind of latch onto without having to spend hours and hours planning. So I guess there's ambassador, there's participant, and then there's also the option of donating to PT Day of Service. So if you're like, I don't have time to volunteer, I already do X, Y, Z, or I already volunteer a ton. If you have like a couple dollars, you can donate to PT Day of Service to just help this project continue to move forward. And not just our project, but the whole entire company, nonprofit of PT Day of Service, to continue to find the niches and kind of meet the needs of communities around the corner and around the world, is kind of the words of AFOSA. So
think global, act local. We love that.
Yes.
All right, the website, ptdayofservice.com, on Twitter, on the socials at PT Day of Service. All right, so we're going to take you guys out of here. Let's bring in somebody else who is going to talk specifics about one of the events. Let's talk about Eric. Let's bring him on the show. Eric, welcome to the program.
Hey, great to meet you, Jimmy.
Eric, awesome. You're up in Michigan right now, yeah. But PT Day of Service was something that you wanted to get involved with. What brought you in? What made you want to get involved with something as massive as PT Day of Service?
Well, actually, before the pandemic, I used to run a cancer nonprofit, and I just recently got re-involved in physical therapy through the APTA, Balance and Fall Oncology, Balance and Falls SIG. So the two kind of went together, and I still wanted to be involved in philanthropy. So I decided to look into PT Day of Service. And the two just matched. So
Dang.
I definitely wanted to do something for that.
Let's talk specifics. You decided to serve for PT Day of Service. Let's talk with the audience about what you were able to do. What did you do? What was your PT Day of Service event?
Well, what we tried to do was we tried to do fall screens for cancer patients, but unfortunately, since COVID was still pretty prevalent at the time, we couldn't do a lot of stuff at specific cancer centers. So we just ended up doing a lot of online campaigns to bring awareness to the risk of falling for people with cancer. So we just kind of had to adapt to the situation.
I feel like that's the hashtag for the last 18 plus months and counting, which is adapt. Yeah,
definitely.
How did it feel with being part of something a little bit bigger than one specific event, something bigger than yourself, being part of Global PT Day of Service? How'd that make you feel? What did it give to you?
Well, it was great, like just to be connected with everyone that was focused on a specific goal. It was just kind of cool being a part of something bigger than what we were doing. We're like this is assessing the fall risk in the elderly population is kind of overlooked, especially in cancer patients, because there's so much stuff going on that I think that the whole movement was just something that needed to be done.
If someone's out there nodding and they're saying, okay, I've been hearing about PT Day of Service for a while now, right? And they're saying, okay, I get it's a good thing. And they're on like the edge of a diving board. They're thinking about having their own event, or they're thinking about participating in an event. What would you want to tell them to get them involved, to make them take that leap?
Well, for me, like I kind of like to do research into things before I jump into anything. I'm kind of cautious like that, but yeah, definitely check out the PT Day of Service, website. There's a ton of information on there, and there's different ways to get involved. I mean, like they were mentioning before, there was all sorts of events that you can get involved with, and it's just a matter of finding what fits your desires most of all.
Yeah, I think your example, Eric, in the last year of pivoting sort of highlights the flexibility. Like probably one of the strengths of PT Day of Service is you can kind of make it anything you want.
Exactly.
Whatever, Alyssa and Anna mentioned, like, what does the community need? If you don't know what the community needs, ask or pay attention, see what they're lacking. And then how can you, and we like to say one of our strengths of our profession as physical therapists is we can do so many things. So I'm sure there's a need in your local community that you could potentially fill. And the flexibility of Global PT Day Service really allows for that. Anything else you'd want to add for the audience to know about this?
Well, yeah, just like in terms of getting involved, there's a lot of different projects out there, and obviously, I myself am a brain tumor survivor, and I've been a fall risk since 2005. So obviously, it held a very special meaning for me, and it's just very important to just connect what you want to do with what's possibly available.
Well, that's the sustainability factor, right, Eric? Yeah. Which is Eric is more likely to do something that is personally meaningful to him. Exactly. And the audience, whoever that may be, no matter what you're doing, is going to get a lot out of it if Eric is really, really invested. So you did a self-assessment first, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, honestly, I think physical therapists are, and philanthropy, they kind of go hand in hand, because, that's basically the core of what we do. We're there to help people.
Givers.
And yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was just a perfect fit.
Well, I love hearing you use that word, brain tumor survivor. So congratulations on doing that, and one-upping yourself again there, which is giving back and paying attention to others for PT Day Service.
Yep.
All right, Eric, hang tight. Let's talk about one more specific. Let's bring in Abby from Connecticut. Abby, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you.
All right, Abby, we're talking PT Day of Service. Let's talk about what you did specifically. How did you interact? How did you use the flexibility of PT Day of Service to interject a little bit of Abby?
Yeah, great. So I'll start by how I actually know Anna. We went to college together and PT school together a handful of years ago. And she reached out to me and kind of explained all of the involvement that she's having with PT Day of Service and Alyssa's role, and said, if you have any time or you want to support us or you want to make a donation, go for it. And I was like, well, what the heck? I've done plenty of balance screens in my life. I've been doing them for years and years. Why not just join in and set up my own event? So I chose to be a leader of the program and hosted a balance screening as well. So I have quite a history with the STEADI, and talked with Anna a little bit about the way, about how to use the STEADI and things like that. But I think the most important thing, and I want to touch back on what Anna said, is the access to a healthcare provider. And I think that's the most important thing. We keep talking about getting people in for screening and seeing what balance looks like. But I think especially coming off of the year and a half that we've had recently, just allowing people access to somebody to talk about, ask questions to, whether it be very truly movement or PT specific or just general healthcare triage, is so important. So it was nice to be able to provide that to the community and felt comfortable, something that I'm familiar with.
How did you do it? What was your setup like? Because I think the thing that I've heard when I ask people, how are you serving on PT Day of Service? A lot of people would say, I would love to. Well, first I'm like, hey, would you like to get involved? Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody really out there that would say it out loud anyway. I mean, there are some jerks, but they're not going to say it out loud. Like, no, I don't want to get involved in service. Ugh, who wants to do that? So most people are like, yeah, okay. It really is. It does take someone like Alyssa, right? The planners to make this thing happen. So I think a lot of times there's a mental block of like, I don't have the time. I mean, that's what everybody says. Honestly, show me someone who does have time. Like, who the hell has time? No one has time, right? Okay. So what would you say to someone in terms of where to find the specifics, right? Because everybody's going to give you that excuse of, I don't have any time. And if nobody had any time to do anything good, well, nothing good would happen. So what would you say to those people in terms of how they can get involved?
Yeah, I think I come from a background that says there's always time for everything.
Always time.
It just depends on how you organize your time. We actually used our screening event this time around and invited students from Springfield College to get involved as well. So I think just those touch points early on for people to feel what it feels like to be involved in community service and feel what it feels like to see full-time providers out there on a weekend getting involved, whether we have time or not, I think just paves the way a little bit and sets a standard for our profession that really needs to be there.
Well, there's that theme again. A lot of times I say we go into episodes, we don't know what the theme is. This is show rather than tell. Like you said, we found some students, we found the community, we knew what we were going to do. And all three of you, there's that common thread, right? All three of you were doing a balance and fall screen, something PTs are fantastic at, right? Super low effort, super high yield. But that show versus tell, you were showing someone, and you were showing multiple audiences in your example, which is showing students that there's a provider out there who's going to do this thing. People like us do things like this. You know, it's not telling them you should do this, saying I'm doing it, come with me. And again, that opens the doors for people, because a lot of people say, I'd love to get involved, but I really don't know how. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I will share too, just your mental block piece. I think now, having met Eric, I didn't meet him beforehand, but nice to meet you too, Eric. It sounds like all four of us even come from slightly different settings, walks of life, backgrounds in the PT world. I know I work in a very different setting, outpatient ortho, compared to especially Alyssa and Anna. And we're still all putting on the same screening in different locations in different areas and are all more than equipped to do it. So that reminder too is it doesn't necessarily matter where you are or what your background is, but you can still provide to people and even just a conversation.
Yeah, it shows that flexibility again of PT. Like where can't it fit? I mean, you guys pick something really, really universally able to fit, right? With balance and fall screenings. I'll ask you the same question I asked Eric. If someone's nodding along and they're saying, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, but maybe they're still apprehensive. They're on the edge of that diving board. That's the picture I always paint for people. What would you say to that person to get them to take that leap to either jump in on an event that already exists or to go out there and create their own?
I think I'd say reach out to the people that have done it before. The PT Day of Service website was great. It had a lot of information, but feeling comfortable reaching out to someone like Alyssa who's on the site and has information, or somebody that you've heard on the show tonight, or even just somebody who's in your practice or in your same field that might be willing to support you. We live by this saying that in the sense of reciprocity. So if you ask for help, you're likely to get it, and people are less likely to give it without being asked. So ask for help. There's probably plenty of people that are out there that are willing to put in the time to help you as well.
And after 7 years, not 6, 7 years of Global PT Day of Service, and I don't know, what was that number again, Alyssa, in terms of how many people have actually done events? 20,000 or something like that, people that interacted?
I want to say it's over 20,000.
Honestly, who's going to say no? Just say it. Like, we're not, I can't stat check you. Just say 25,000. It sounds round
Yeah,
up.
25,000. We don't have our numbers yet for this year, but I'm sure we reached that
25K.
now.
We could go wrong. All right, bringing Alyssa and Anna back in, bringing Eric back in. We have a tradition on the show. It is called 3 Questions. Are you guys ready to play 3 Questions?
Sure.
Let's do it. Got a giveaway right now. The link in our bio. I feel like such a YouTuber. Sit link in bio. Like and subscribe. $50. You can win from our friends at Fusion Medical Staffing. $50 Amazon gift card. I spend $50 on Amazon almost daily, pretty much. Bank account agrees. So leaders in hashtag travel physical therapy. Find them online at fusionmedstaff.com. They have complete job transparency. You don't want to play any games with a job. You don't want to sucker it into a job. They're not suckering anybody in. They have job transparency. See what's available. Let your PT or PTA license take you where you want to go. Online at fusionmedstaff.com. So this is how we'll do 3 questions. Let's bring the guests back on the camera here. All right, so we'll go around the horn. We'll go in the order that you guys were actually on the show. See how I did that? So we'll go Alyssa and Anna. You guys are in California, but the first question is a where question. Where's somewhere you've always wanted to go within the 50 U.S. states to do a PT Day of Service event? Where's somewhere you would love to go to do that?
I'm gonna go Puerto Rico.
Yeah, why not? Puerto Rico.
Go Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Lesser known fact, Anna's parents live in Puerto Rico, and she spends like half her life in Puerto Rico. I would love to go there and do a project with her, though, because it is a beautiful island.
But the reason being in Puerto Rico a lot with my parents, you see that, especially like little islands off the coast, they don't have access to PTs. There is not a PT on the island that my parents live in, and they keep trying to convince me to move there. So I would like to do a service project in Puerto Rico. I think that would be a place that I know needs it. Like you go, you watch, listen, and you watch and you see, what does this place need? Let me try and get in there and help as much as I can. So I'm going Puerto Rico.
Eric, you've been in Texas. You're in Michigan now. You've moved all over. Where's somewhere you'd love to go do an event next year?
Well, actually, you know what? I'm a Filipino American, but I went to Hawaii one time, Honolulu. And of course, you know, with that islander blood, I definitely want to go to Hawaii again.
Hell yeah. Abby, you're in Connecticut. Fun to say, hard to spell. Where would you want to do a PT Day of Service event?
Well, I think I'm tagging along with Eric. Since Alyssa and Anna are going to Puerto Rico, I'm going to Hawaii.
Smart. Yeah. And all those places that you mentioned, since they have people, they need physical therapists. And hey, why not be a travel PT and let your license take you tour the country, tour the world? Again, find them online at fusionmedstaff.com. Second question is a what question. What is something you've watched or read or listened to, a book, movie, podcast, just something that you'd recommend that the audience go check out? It can be PT or non-PT related. It's open-ended.
I'm going to let you go first on this one. I have too many things that I've been reading recently.
Okay. I guess the first thing that jumps into my mind, and I hope everyone knows about this woman, but if you don't, you should. Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Podcasts. I mean, there's podcasts, there's books, there's Netflix series, but she talks about a lot about being in the arena. And I think all 3 of us in this, all 4 of us, 5 of us in this podcast are in the arena. we are here putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable, trying to find the need and trying to meet the needs. And those are the people who are really going to make differences in the world, is not the ones who sit back and say, I don't know what I'm doing or how to do it. The ones that are like, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to jump in and try my best. So read a book by Brene Brown, watch a show by Brene Brown, just listen to her words. She's fantastic.
Yeah, love her. Definitely had a couple books, read a couple books by Brene. Well worth it. What do you think, Alyssa? What's your what?
I echo that, but also I have recently gotten really into what's called cycle syncing, and realizing that most of the research recommendations that are out there for diet, exercise, lifestyle is really based in male research subjects. So there's more and more information coming out regarding the impact of the female hormonal cycle and how we can shift our lifestyles, our diet to truly kind of go with the ebb and flows of the hormonal cycle to maximize our health as women. So Alyssa Vitti is Alyssa Vitti is a health coach, I guess would be her title, who specializes in
what was it again? Cycle syncing?
Cycle syncing. So like you're syncing with your hormonal cycle.
I like it.
Yeah, really fascinating stuff. I have learned a lot, and I feel a lot better after starting to implement some of the information that I've learned. So
cool. Eric, what's your what? Book, movie, podcast? What do you got?
Book, movie, or podcast? Well,
yeah.
I don't have anything as cool as those guys just mentioned. Like I'm kind of a geek, so I'm gonna say the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yes,
just because I can, because like I don't know, I've been in the nonprofit industry for quite a while now, and like I deal with a lot of young adult survivors, or I used to deal with a lot of young adult survivors, and honestly, cool book. It was Star Wars. Star Wars, I found, has definitely connected a lot of people. So,
listen, Eric,
yeah.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Exactly.
Yoda.
Thank
Master.
you, Mr. Yoda.
And Master Yoda. All right, Abby, what's your what?
So it's tough going last. I'll just put that out there. But I wrote down Brene Brown as well, right up there in the corner of my page. So aside from her, whose books I have laying all over my living room right now for my leisure reading, I'll go with a fun one. I'm all about Ted Lasso these days. So if you haven't seen it, go on and watch Ted Lasso. It's just like good, goofy, funny. And that would be my pick.
Jason Sudeikis. I'll be honest. I did not see Ted Lasso coming. Like 2 episodes in, I was like, what is this? But it's warm and cozy and just makes you feel good. It's feel good. It's feel good TV. In this world, it cuts through. All right, last question. We always start and end with people. So who is someone the audience should know more about? We start with Alyssa or Anna.
That's tough.
It is tough.
I'm going to be weird in this one, and I'm going to say yourself. I'm going to say there's never a chance to stop learning more about yourself. And I think not a lot of us, we're so busy. We're PTs, we're organizing, we're doing all these things. We're helping other people, but are we helping ourselves? Do you know enough about yourself? Are you in tune with yourself? So I'm going to say sit down and learn a little bit more about yourself. Example being journal. Try it out. I hate it sometimes, but then I do it and I'm like, well, shit, I didn't know this stuff before about me. And now let's figure it out and work through it. So you need to learn more about yourself.
And don't forget to treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Her dog is shaking over here. Hold on.
Alyssa, what do you got for your who? Who's your who?
Maybe my dog, because you just made it very clear that everyone needs to know who she is. My who. Oh gosh, I like Anna's.
So steal it. That's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
You guys
we are very similar, so we're kind of on this same path of self-discovery and supporting each other in that journey of learning about ourselves. So I'm gonna steal it.
Eric, what do you got? Who's someone the audience should know more about?
Well, honestly, I did a lot of reading when I was first diagnosed, and I came across this author, Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
And like I'm a really big fan of all of his books. Like it definitely gets you thinking. So I would definitely have to say Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell, very, very well-versed author. Great podcast. Malcolm Gladwell. Blink, I would recommend. See?
Yep.
It's like I've almost got a library behind me. Abby, who's your who?
I'm telling you, following all of these answers is quite challenging. I think for those of you that are in the audience that heard Brene Brown that didn't know who she was, I think that's a good starting point. So I'll just keep the plug there and recommend going out and reading her stuff.
Yeah. I would have to say, I would give a plug to this one as well. David and Goliath, a good one from Malcolm Gladwell. Everybody knew Blink and Tipping Point, but he's done some really good work after that. All right, that's 3 questions from our friends at Fusion Medical Staffing. Again, find them online at fusionmedstaff.com. This brings us to...
Oh, no.
The book's falling. It's okay. This brings us to the last thing we do on the show, which is the parting shot. All right, parting shot is last chance for your mic drop moment. Last thing, last sentiment, last idea, soapbox thing that you'd want to leave with the audience as we exit. It's brought to you by our friends from the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy. Find them online at orthopt.org. Just released current concepts of orthopedic physical therapy. It's the roadmap to get you from where you are to where you want to be in your orthopedic physical therapy career. A lot of people use it as a study guide, a perfect roadmap study guide for the OCS exam. So Alyssa and Anna, we'll start with you with your parting shot. What do you want to leave with the audience today?
All right. I actually just had a meeting with someone yesterday who dropped me a little quote, so I'm going to read it to you guys. When others' well-being becomes as important as our own, when their happiness shines from our own eyes, in that moment, compassion has filled our hearts. So I think that is very well aligned with what we've been talking about.
Very quotable parting shot. Anna, what do you got for us to leave?
I'm going to bring us back to why we're all here today, PT Day of Service. I think everyone should take a moment and go back to that website, check it out, see what we have to offer, and just see that you can make a difference, either if it's small, large, but ptdayofservice.com. I'm going to put a little challenge out there. Everyone check it out.
Love that. All right, Eric, your parting shot for today. What do you want to leave with the audience?
Well, I think as a physical therapist, we need to make sure that everyone knows that there's always a way. If you really want to do something, or if somebody wants to do something, there's a way to, if you think about it, you can figure something out. Basically, it's just a matter of will. You know, if you want to do something, you can come up with a plan.
Where there's a will, there's a way, says Eric. All right, Abby, you got to follow all that. You had to follow all the books and the who's and the where's, and now you got to follow with a parting shot. But you get to be the mic, you get to be the anchor and the mic drop. What do you got us? What do you got for us?
Go have to go.
So I'll take it really specific into all of us doing the balance screening. And I'm going to steal from my very first balance and fall screening program ever a handful of years ago, is that falls are preventable. And everybody should know that.
Falls are preventable. And that's what's one of the many things our profession is really, really great at. So thanks for stopping by to tell us all about what you guys did. I think it was nice to see you did something similar in different ways for different reasons for different people. So similarities and differences. That website is ptdayofservice.com. We're looking at what? It's usually October, right? October, November, like fall. Yeah. Fall screenings.
Second weekend of October.
Second weekend of October. So start thinking about now what you want to do for PT Day of Service 2022, which sounds funny to actually say that next year is 2022. Alyssa, Anna, Eric, Abby, thanks so much for coming to the show and sharing what you did. All right.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
They say the best conversations happen at happy hour. Thanks for coming to ours.